Today's Wednesday, July 22nd, 2020. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, we'll be joined by Congresswoman Maxine Waters to share her thoughts about the loss of Congressman John Lewis, Trump's lack of leadership on COVID-19, and what will happen when it comes to unemployment benefits for people impacted by coronavirus. We'll also give you the latest research in the race to find a vaccine for the virus in the United States, giving nearly $2 billion to drug manufacturers for 100 doses of a vaccine. 15 people were shot in the drive-by shooting in Chicago on yesterday at a funeral for a victim of another drive-by shooting. Now Donald Trump says he is going to send in federal troops to Chicago. Mayor Lori Lightfoot said, "The hell you are." Speaking of Chicago, Congressman Bobby Rush talked to the Black Eagle on Sirius XM, and he says that Donald Trump wants to instigate a race war. Well, you'll hear what he has to say. And a black woman could become the first black person ever to represent the state of Washington in Congress. We'll talk with Marilyn Strickland. And a city in California removes a Black Lives Matter mural after a Trump supporter requested a MAGA 2020 mural. One is a campaign slogan, one isn't. And entrepreneur Janice McLean Deloach is launching the Black Shopping Network. She joins us with those details. And Reverend C.T. Vivian is lying in state at the Georgia Capitol. We'll show you video of the funeral procession that went past the MLK crypt today in Atlanta. And plus, we remember Charles Evers, the brother of Medgar Evers, who passed away today at the age of 97. Plus, comedian J. Anthony Brown is in the house for Wildin' Out Wednesday. It is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Folks, today in Atlanta, Reverend C.T. Vivian, his body is at rest in the state capital of Georgia. His funeral will be tomorrow, 11 a.m. This is video here of a procession. Pull the audio up, please.
We shall overcome.
This also happened as his body was draped with the flag of the state of Georgia. The family broke out in song. Ten seconds. The funeral of C.T. Vivian will take place tomorrow at 11 a.m. We will live stream that funeral right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. He passed away last Friday at the age of 95. The family of John Lewis announced that they were not going to release any details with regards to his funeral until, out of respect, until after the funeral of Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian. Members of Congress are still mourning the loss of Congressman John Lewis. We showed you yesterday the various tributes that took place on the House floor. We've had many CBC members who have been on talking about that and what he meant and really his impact on the members of Congress. I also had the opportunity to, I'm going to show you guys this in a second, Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley sent me this photo here. This is a photo that was placed in his seat there in the House of Representatives, there for Congressman John Lewis. Joining us right now from Capitol Hill is Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California. She, of course, served a number of years with Congressman John Lewis. Congresswoman Waters, glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Well, thank you so much, and I'm so pleased you invited me to be on today. And you're so thoughtful, and thank you for sharing with us those moments with C.T. Vivian, because he was a very, very integral part of the civil rights movement and worked right along with Dr. Martin Luther King and with John Lewis, a very gentle man. I'm so pleased that you gave time and attention to him also.
When we talk about these two giants, Vivian passed away at 95, Lewis passed away at the 80, both in Atlanta, both on the same day. Their impact is immeasurable, but I think one of the things, and we talked about this yesterday in the last several days, is that we sort of want to lock these two into time. But the reality is, with Vivian, he started in 1947. He never stopped. Andrew Young said he was still active until 2 weeks ago. Congressman John Lewis was at Black Lives Matter Plaza just last month. They were active fighting for equality for black folks and others until their last breath.
They never stopped. First of all, when I think about John Lewis and a 17-year-old, having the wisdom and the understanding, even what was going on with discrimination and racism, and wanting to do something about it, joining the civil rights movement at 23, speaking at the March on Washington, I am amazed. But of course, I've been in awe of John Lewis for quite some time, in awe of him, not only because of his history, the leadership of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the sit-ins, the Edmund Petridge Bridge, all of that. I was in awe of him because of his ability to forgive and to love and to have no revenge in his heart. I thought that was quite unusual and outstanding, given that he had been beaten, he had been jailed, he had been treated, very bad. And yet he led a group to meet with George Wallace and to forgive him. And so I've been in awe of his ability to do that and to preach nonviolence and to live it. I mean, he didn't talk the talk, he actually walked the walk. An unusual young man that a historian referred to as a saint.
When we talk about members of Congress, I think a lot of people out there really don't understand. They say, well, how many bills did somebody sponsor? How many were passed? But the reality is the job of a member of Congress is a lot of stuff that happens people never, ever see. And
That's
so
right.
what was his value? What did he bring to the Congress when it came to the work?
Well, first of all, let me just say that he was so revered, so loved, so respected. When he took the floor of the House to speak, everything was quiet. Everybody listened attentively because they knew that when he spoke, he had something very important to say. And so, first of all, before I even talk about the Voting Rights Act and the work that he did on legislation, on gun control and all of that, his presence here was a quietening presence, one where he could, lead a debate, get people focused and talk about not only the issue, but helped us to conduct ourselves in certain ways that I think, added to his importance here. Of course, He's going to be known for the Voting Rights Act and the fact that his bill is still on the desk of McConnell over in the Senate, where after the Supreme Court decision, where they literally changed Section 4, which of course caused Section 5 to no longer be operative, where we would be able to stop jurisdictions from changing laws and doing things that would impact voting in those jurisdictions. So not only was he important on public policy and was able to, give the history on certain pieces of legislation, to work, with his colleagues, to help guide the entire Congress, to provide leadership. He was someone that everyone respected. And when, things were rough inside our own caucus and there appeared to be division, he could bring us all together.
Of course, when he led folks to sit down right there in the House to commandeer the stage, Congressman Jim Clyburn said that he thought that crystallized the moment that really united the Democratic Party and played a role in them winning so many seats in 2018 because it sort of galvanized the party as well. A lot of people were obviously shocked by that, and it was sort of weird when we played the video, though, people looking around like, well, I guess he gonna sit down. We better sit down. And he sort of challenged Democrats who, frankly, we don't really know. That's not how a member of Congress is supposed to act. These are non-black folks. Calls them and say, yeah, take a seat. This is what you do when you got to make a point.
Well, the fact of the matter is the way that we are thought to conduct ourselves, talking about the gentlewoman and the gentleman and, all of that, no one would have expected that people who had never dreamed that they would sit down, that they would get on the floor, they did it. And of course, this changed a lot of individuals, members of Congress who had never experienced what it is to do a sit-in, to do a sleep-in, to do that kind of confrontation. And so I think Jim Clyburn may have had something when he talked about, the impact that it had on the election.
We talk about what's happening right now, certainly, and I said this and you already mentioned it, I really right now don't want to hear anything from Mitch McConnell or any Republican talking about John Lewis when the issue that he cared most about voting, they've done nothing.
They've done nothing. And, Roland, I have been to Selma practically every year since I've been elected, marching with John across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And you'd be surprised at the Republicans, conservatives, who would come because they wanted to have the identification perhaps for that segment of their districts.
It was a field trip for them, a field trip and a photo op.
Yes, and they may have had 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 or 10% of their districts were African Americans that they did nothing for except on Martin Luther King's birthday. And of course, the picture that they could take back to show that they were with John Lewis. And it always upset me. But again, I could not demonstrate it. I could not show it because John Lewis was the kind of human being that you certainly respected so much, and you did not want to do anything in his presence that would not be considered respectful. But he did not mind. He led the Faith in Politics group. They went into Montgomery. They went to the museum there, the Civil Rights Museum, and he brought them all over to Selma where they marched. But he was that kind of human being. He had love in his heart for everybody. He really believed in peace and certainly believed in nonviolence, and he lived it.
We would talk about people who stay involved and active. You're one of those folks. Folks have been talking about you on social media when you pulled your car over to make sure that a brother was properly being taken care of by a police officer. Guys, go ahead and roll that video, please.
Over.
I stopped the brother, so I stopped to see what they were doing.
Right. Oh, okay.
So they say I'm in the wrong place, say they're going to give me a ticket. That's okay, as long as I watch them.
Gotta do what they gotta
show.
All right.
Take it they never gave you that ticket, huh?
Well, they wrote the ticket and they asked me to sign it, and I refused to sign it. And they said, you must sign this because this is your promise to appear. I said, I'm not appearing anywhere, not signing any tickets. And they said, well, you could be arrested. I said, if that's what you think you need to do, that you have to do, then please go ahead and arrest me. They called out a captain. The captain came, and the captain basically said, Ms. Waters, well, you know you could be arrested. I said, yes, of course. And I've said to your officers, if that's what they have to do. And he just threw up his hands and told the officers, get rid of the ticket. Bye.
They needed to understand you were going to make sure nothing happened to that brother.
Well, you know, Roland, I've been doing this for years, and I do it all the time. I mean, I don't ever talk about it. I just go, and I stand a respectable distance. I do not intervene, but I'm there watching, and the police know that I'm there. The deputies know that I'm there, and most of the time they let them go because eyes are upon them. But it's so important for us understanding that our young people are frightened. They don't know what to do, and I'm so worried that some of them may run and then they'll get shot. They are so grateful to see somebody is standing there watching and looking after them. And of course, with me coming there, other people came. You know, the bus drivers who were passing by waved and shouted Maxine Waters. People stopped their cars, and all of this, you know, put eyes on what was going on, and they released him. I'm not sure that some of these young people would be released, but for, you know, me and others who would stand and watch what's going on. And I'm so pleased now that everybody's got a cell phone and, you know, can, you know, take photographs of what's going on. I think that's very helpful. And this young man was just walking. They stopped him, and I asked him after they released him, why did they stop him? What did they say? And he said, they said, I fit the description. I said, oh, yes, I've heard that before.
Yeah, we've all heard that one before. I gotta ask you a couple of issues. One, you chair, of course, House Financial Services Committee. We're dealing now with this coronavirus epidemic. Republicans are now complaining about extending these unemployment benefits. Here's Senator Ted Cruz saying, "Oh, basically, these folks are just making too much money."
Yes,
They
said that.
One second. Watch this.
So far is the plus up in unemployment compensation. We are paying a whole lot of people a lot more money to stay home and not work than they made on their jobs. And that is terrible for those workers. It's terrible for the economy. And every time, everyone in this body who votes for paying people more money to stay home and not work than to go to work, they ought to write on the top of that, paid for by the Joe Biden for President campaign. Because there are a lot.
Congresswoman, this is the same guy who opposes $15 an hour. Maybe if people got a living wage, then they wouldn't be making more money from this check. I mean, that's crazy.
Absolutely. And it is absolutely outrageous to begrudge poor people making, you know, entry wages, making, you know, minimum wages, to begrudge them getting $600 more. It's just not to be understood. But I don't understand Cruz anyway. And he's not a credible human being as far as I'm concerned. Anytime you allow the president to treat, you know, your wife the way that he allowed the president to treat his wife, and he's still, you know, basically licking the boots of the president, he is not to be understood or respected. So, you know, we can just disregard whatever he has to say.
I agree with that, and I'm from Texas, and I'll still vote there. But trust me, he don't get my vote. Just a couple of more. That first off, Donald Trump yesterday, all of a sudden, these people in the media saying, "Oh, his tone has changed. Now he's encouraging people to wear masks," things along those lines. They're still discrediting Dr. Anthony Fauci as well. 140,000 people have died, and you have this administration who still all of a sudden now wants to say, "Oh, no, we're now on top of the coronavirus." California, your state, highest number of cases yet just yesterday.
I just checked, and I understand that we may have reported 5,000 new cases as of today. we are right at the top. We have a few states that's, in that situation, New York and New Jersey, and I think Florida is there, Arizona was there, and Georgia was there, but we're right at the top. And we have spent so much money, trying to deal with, the situation. We had a surplus, and now that has been depleted. But, our governor was doing a great job, but the pressure was so great, that was by this president and by all of those governors who follow him to open things up. He opened up, and this surge and this spike has taken place. And now it's basically out of control. And, people are going to not only be ill from COVID-19, they're going to die. Some people are going to die. This president has misled the nation. First of all, he said it was just a hoax, and he didn't get involved for several months. And then he paid no attention to the experts. And then he came up with his own remedies, telling us to drink bleach, etc. And then he told us it was just going to disappear. And he has not been credible. He has not provided the leadership. And so we find ourselves in a situation where we lost time, and we have other countries that are way ahead of us in, making sure that they have been doing the testing and that they don't have the kind of virus infections that we're getting on a daily basis that appear to be increasing every day. It is such a sad story about a lack of leadership, about an incompetent president who has no business being president in the first place, and not a clue about how to organize, how to provide leadership, how to work with others. And that's why we find ourselves in the situation that we're in. We have the HEROES bill now, following the other bills that we have passed, the CARES Act and the supplemental to that, and it's sitting on the desk of McConnell, who refused to get started with the negotiations. We have a $3 trillion bill, and he's saying it should only be perhaps maybe about $1 trillion, which is a mistake. Not only are the rents coming due, some people have not paid their rents for 2 and 3 months now. And our federal eviction moratorium is over at the end of this month. And many cities and states who had moratoriums, that's all over with. These landlords, many of them, they have a mortgage. If they're going to keep their rental units, they've got to pay. And so I'm so worried that people are going to be evicted and put out on the street and increase the homelessness that we're experiencing in this country. I'm so worried about homeowners losing their homes who will be in forbearance, but that's not going to last forever. They have to be willing to and able to negotiate at the end of the forbearance period, or they will not be able to make a lump sum payment and catch up with all the payments that they've not been able to make. And we call it HEROES because all of our frontline people, the doctors and the nurses and the grocery clerks and the people who work for the cities and the states and all that, who come to work every day and put their lives on the line. Cities and states need this money. And $1 trillion of the $3 trillion would be going into the states to maintain the unemployment, to maintain and take care of the people who are taking care of us. So we're in a bad situation, and I don't know how fast we're going to be able to get these negotiations going. It has taken so long for McConnell to even get started, and people are going to be hurting. I just hope that we don't end up with the kind of crisis in the streets where people have no place to live, no place to go. And, we need a supplemental. We need a supplemental. This cash supplemental is what puts food on the table.
Right.
So between the $600 employment, the cash supplemental, and the assistance to the cities and states, that's what America is going to have in order for us to just keep going. It's not going to solve everything because we still have the testing to deal with. We still have DPA to force them and the president to use that authority to get the PPE manufactured that's running out. I'm worried, and everybody in this country should be worried. Everybody should know that this president has more than defined himself as incapable and incompetent.
Last question. these troops, these federal agents, unidentified federal agents in Portland. Trump says he is now going to dispatch them across the country. Congressman Bobby Rush did an interview with Joe Madison saying Trump wants a race war. He is unleashing these individuals, snatching folks off the street. Politicians in those states, Oregon, have no idea who these folks are. What can Congress do? This guy flouts subpoenas. He doesn't care about congressional hearings or testimony. He is going to unleash these federal agents on American citizens with impunity.
Well, you know, I think it was the Attorney General, maybe, I'm not sure, of Oregon.
Oregon, yeah.
Who basically said that she thinks this is a dry run for what he is going to do. You're absolutely right. They are unidentified. They don't have their names. They have these strange uniforms. They're snatching people off the street, throwing them into unmarked cars. This is his military. This is what you see in dictatorships in third world countries, where, you know, the leader, the dictator, keeps his, you know, his military so that he can turn them on the people whenever he gets ready. And don't forget, this president has alluded to the fact that if he's not reelected, there may be a civil war. This is a dangerous man. And he's, instead of understanding that we have real problems that need to be addressed, dealing with these young people in some of our cities. He keeps talking about Chicago because of the unfortunate killings that they're having, where we need to have everything from, you know, more jobs, more counselors, more people assisting the families, where we're trying to deal with understanding what is driving the young people, with people going in, dealing with not only the individual, but seeing, you know, what's happening with the parents, what's happening with the mothers and fathers, what's happening with the ability for them to have health care, and whether or not we have some of these young people who are, you know, having mental problems. I mean, a lot of, you know, work that needs to be done, not going in with guns, talking about we're going in tough. We're going to take care of it. What he's doing is he's threatening to kill some people. And guess who those people are? They're us. It is a dangerous thing that he's talking about doing. The mayors didn't even know, and the state legislatures didn't even know he was coming into Portland, didn't know he was coming there. He does not consult with them. This is an outrageous abuse of power.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters, always a pleasure to have you on the show. We appreciate that you always take time for us to speak to our audience, and it's greatly appreciated.
And thank you so much, and I appreciate you so very much.
Thanks a bunch. You take care, be safe. And also, condolences on your sister. I know it was very difficult losing her coronavirus, so certainly condolences.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thanks a bunch. All right, folks, let's go to our panel. A. Scott Bolden, former chair of National Bar Association, PAC. Robert Patillo, executive director, Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project. Teresa Lundy, principal founder, TML Communications. Scott, I'll start with you. You heard what the Congresswoman said there. We talked about a variety of things, but this announcement by Trump, he is sending these troops in, sending these federal agents in. These folks are unleashing terror across this country. We cannot ignore what is happening. And I dare say, if you thought Nixon and all of his stuff in '68, I said this on MSNBC this weekend, this is Nixon in '68 on steroids.
Yeah, this is really strange, interesting, and scary. These federal troops, and they're unidentified, they're unannounced, they have unmarked cars, and it's like the military squads in third world countries. I think the attorney generals and as well as the governors of Illinois, or the governor of Illinois, needs to go to court or needs to figure out who these folks are in order to figure out whether they should be there or not and under what authority they are. But you can't do it unchecked. Now, having said that, Chicago's got to do something. The killing fields of Chicago have been there for 10 years or longer. It's always had a gang problem. But you have days where 20, 30, 40, 50 people are being shot, and the funeral where those 15 people were shot was gang-related. The person who died, who was at the funeral, was gang-related, and you still didn't have enough police to stop the drive-by. And so you got to do something. I got to tell you, I don't know why street gangs are legal. I mean, hate speech ain't never been free speech. I don't know why if you connote or your purpose is connoted with crime, why you can legally or rather legally operate. It makes no sense. And by the way, at some point, you're going to have to put federal or state troops there, shut down those high crime areas where the shootings are taking place, and put some money in there in regard to education, job training, jobs, and entrepreneurship, a combination. But you got to do something, because right now, they're not doing a very good job in Chicago.
But here's the thing there, Teresa, when we talk about what's happening there in Chicago, we cannot ignore the reality of the fundamental problems with that Chicago Police Department. What you have in Chicago, look, I worked there for 6 years. Excuse me. If you let me finish, you will understand. I lived in Chicago for 6 years. And if you understand what happens there, you have a police department that is actually the biggest gang in Chicago. When you had a consent decree where when the Obama administration went in, where officers admitted freely using the N-word, talked about beating suspects. What they would also do, Teresa, they would pick up gang members or suspected gang members or people who were not even in gangs, drive them to areas where there was known gang activity and drop them off and make them escape saying, are you going to talk now? You're going to talk now. What you have is you have massive distrust between the community in Chicago, between communities and the Chicago Police Department. And, Teresa, last point, you have police officers who are still pissed off that they were held accountable in the case of Laquan McDonald, and they have purposely slowed down. They've said they've actually broken antennas on car dash cams, won't turn on body cameras. You have a police department that is in open revolt to accountability, and they're like, hey, if it happens, it's on them. Teresa, go ahead.
Chicago is one of several major metropolitan cities that is going through this chaos that President Trump has created. I know our district attorney, our progressive district attorney, Larry Krasner, who's always under the gun for conservative politics and news media, he made a statement, fighting back against this unjust with the statement that President Trump made about federal agents coming into the city, arresting and kidnapping and assaulting by actually pressing charges. And I think that needs to be a downpour of a remake for every other district attorney to be doing, because again, we can't be going backwards. Going back, it's reminding me of a crime drama that we used to see on USA Network or something that was just so old that our parents used to watch, right? But this is real life right now. And this is not a movie. This is real life where lives are really hanging at the balance. And it just seems like, it's getting worse, because once we start getting into what this election season is actually coming this year, it's really worse that we just don't know what's going to happen next. So it's really up to our progressive district attorneys, our legislators to really, formulate some sort of plan and really look into that charter and those rules and regulations so they can figure out how to protect us from the federal government.
Robert, on this point here, again, if you start talking about how Trump just unilaterally, I'm sending people in, first and foremost, let's just break this thing down there in Chicago. You have the Chicago Police Department. You have the Cook County Sheriff's Department. You have the Illinois State Police. You have massive law enforcement that is at your disposal to be able to have a plan, and then you can have the assistance from the federal government. But this is a guy who's not actually trying to work with the governor and the mayor to deal with it. He wants to actually drive a different conversation, and that's what you're having here. I can tell you, I was at one of the two meetings where, when he was president, in his first year when he met with media, and it was called, Rahm came in here, to Scott's point, Rahm came in here talking about education and economics. He was like, no, that's not the issue. Well, first of all, that is the issue. And that's also part of the deal here, Robert. Chicago's violence is not a new thing. It is a systemic thing that deals with a variety of factors, which include economics and education. Go ahead.
All right, 3 points that I have to make. One, I was at the Capitol earlier for the CT Vivian visual. Of course, we send our thoughts and prayers to his family. We have to make sure that we follow in the model and the history and the legacy of Reverend Vivian and also John Lewis. Secondarily, on the Chicago point, I went to law school in Chicago, lived right there in 47th and Drexel for 3 years. There is a systemic problem that cannot be solved by federal troops. Understand that we have a posse comitatus in 1876, which forbids the federal government from sending in troops to United States cities unless it is invited by the local jurisdiction. This is why when President Trump tried to enact the Insurrection Act of 1809, he was not able to do so. It's an empty threat because the local government has to invite them in. So if you want, the reason that we have this current spike in shootings around the country is after the killing of George Floyd and the mass mobilizations, police departments around the country did mass sick-outs. They did the blue flu. They decided they were no longer going to patrol. They were no longer going to do their job. They made the finite decision that if we are not allowed to abuse people, then we will not do our job at all. This is why we're seeing this spike nationwide. It is the police unions allowing these things to happen. At that funeral where 14 people were shot, the police were informed beforehand that there was the potential for violence, and they were aware of it and did nothing because they know exactly what they are doing. So we have to hold them accountable for what they do. And on the preventive side of it, Father Flager has been working on this for decades. Reverend Jesse Jackson's been working on this for decades in Chicago. Jeremiah Wright has been working on this for decades. We know what the solutions are. We know for a fact that if you look at the Magnificent Mile, if you look at Gold Coast, the reason you don't have the number of shootings there that you have in the South Side or the Wild Hunters or on the West Side is because they have the economics do not have those issues. You've changed the economic situation. You've changed the access to transportation, the access to proper jobs, the access to proper housing, not having boarded up buildings and rat-infested slums. None of those guns are just being bought and sold in Chicago. They're coming from across state lines and
Indiana,
into the city. Nobody has a poppy field where they're growing heroin in Chicago. Nobody's growing cocaine in their backyard. So you have to stop the drugs from coming into the cities. So this idea that, these black folks are just crazy and shooting up and tearing up everything. No, it is a systemic issue.
That's what it shows.
100 years of policy in the city, and if you change the system, then you change the outcome.
Well, wait a minute. That's what it shows. It shows black people shooting black people. And Father Flager and Jesse Jackson and you and our host right here, you all want to blame everybody, want to blame the police.
No.
The police are
actually,
not making gang members shoot each other.
Oh, actually,
okay? Shut
Scott,
them down,
Scott,
because everything you've tried in the last 20, 30 years has not worked.
Scott, here's the
How's that working for you all, blaming the police?
Here's the point that you're missing.
I'm not missing it.
Actually, you are missing the point.
Okay.
They're in Chicago. They're in Chicago. They have had numerous examples of cops shaking down drug dealers.
What does that have to do with gang members shooting gang members?
Will you listen? They actually had they had a facility on Holman Street that basically was Chicago's Guantanamo Bay, where they would take, as the black site, as a lawyer, they would take people to that site. Then the family or someone would say, hey, my relative's been picked up. The lawyer would call Chicago Police Department. There's no record in the system that they actually exist. And the lawyer's going, wait a minute, this guy's been picked up. Where is he? We don't have him in the system. That's one example. Then you also had in Chicago, then you also had there, of course, John Burge and the beatings. What I'm saying is this here. The problem that you have in Chicago is you have such a problem, a level of distrust between community and the police. The community says, I can't trust talking to you because I don't know if you gonna give my name to the gang members. And so the problem is, and hold up, I'm not just done. One second.
Everything you're saying is irrelevant.
No, it's not irrelevant.
And it is.
When McCarthy came in to be the police commissioner, they said, oh, the hell no, we're not letting the outsider come in here. They fought every step of the way. Part of the problem is in order to get the violence under control, there has to be trust with the police department, and that police department is so corrupt, they do not want to do it. They openly have rebelled against Kim Foxx. They openly have rebelled against Lori Lightfoot, and that's what they are. And so that's part of the issue here. Gangs and the police who's the largest gang in Chicago.
It may be, but I don't see the police officers putting guns in gangbangers' hands and them shooting each other and over turf war. Stop it.
But if you, but Scott,
Everything you say is irrelevant.
if the Chicago cops won't police the areas, then you're not going to shut it down.
Let me tell you why you're wrong. The police are there, they ride around, they get a call of a shooting. They go and they try to solve the crime.
No, they don't.
Hold on.
Scott, you're actually
I'm
wrong.
a former prosecutor. I've
Scott.
got ride-outs with the police all the time.
Scott,
Listen, why don't you listen?
Scott, hold
Why
up,
don't you
Scott.
listen?
Hold on, Scott. Have you lived in Chicago?
Yes.
How long you live in
I was
Chicago?
born in Joliet, Illinois.
I got you. No. Joliet ain't Chicago. Joliet is Joliet. See, right there. That's like saying I'm from Evanston. No. Here's the deal here.
No, let me tell you.
But Scott, in Chicago, that's not what the cops are doing.
Listen, every police department gets a call, there's been a shooting. Hold on. I know I can agree with everything you say. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying to you is the killing fields of Chicago are what they are. And everything you're talking about with the police is irrelevant and immaterial. If gangs are getting guns and shooting each other, 25 people a day, all the corruption you're talking about can be true. I don't want to challenge that. What I'm saying to you is until you shut those gangs down and or bring in money to train them, job training, education, and all the other funding that's needed to give gang members an alternative to violence or the gang, they're going to continue. If this is not new, how's everything you talking about on Robert Patel?
I didn't say it was new.
Hold on.
Scott,
How's that working
In fact, Robert and I both said it's not new. Robert, go
It
ahead.
hasn't helped
Scott,
one bit.
Robert, go ahead.
Shut them down.
Understand. Everything that you are saying was done in the late 90s and early 2000s in Chicago. And guess what it did? Those gangbangers from back then 20 years ago went to prison. Their children grew up in fatherless households. By the time those kids were 13, 14, 15, they were right back
It wasn't
in the same
sustainable.
damn gangs
You
they
got to
just locked
sustain
up
it
their
with
dad
money
for
and
15
resources.
beforehand. This is what we're talking about, a systemic issue. You are creating the exact same cycle. If you don't change the underlying conditions,
But
you get
blaming
the
the
exact same
police
result.
is
You're
not the
reshuffling
answer.
deck chairs on the Titanic.
You know, you and
Scott, no one is blaming.
Roland,
No,
you are. You're blaming the police.
No. What we're doing is we're stating what is actually factual.
And it's irrelevant.
When you can't act like the cops had no part of this. Look, bottom line is, Teresa, you're in Philadelphia. It's the same thing here. You can't divorce the lack of action, the lack of concern by police, deliberately slowing down, not really wanting to investigate crimes. Chicago has one of the lowest criminal clearance rates in the country. Why?
Agreed. So in Philadelphia, we had to bring in another outside police commissioner because of the corruption, because of the lack of policing and community relations. And so we needed an outside source, and we have Commissioner Danielle Outlaw, first African-American woman who's actually in that position, appointed. And she's coming in with fresh ideas. She's coming in with a fresh perspective. But the most important thing is she has come in with a vision in order to change the current system. And in order to do that, she had to put her boots to the ground and started talking to, external relations, the community. She was out there during the protests, but she's been doing a lot of in-house training. And also, I believe today it was that the Pennsylvania Legislative Black Caucus actually had a conversation about the police reforms. And so what's outlined, which I think if we had another commissioner probably still would have stand, about some of those roles of what they can do and some of those policies that they can change internally. So part of it is if you have a corrupt system, it does take an outside look and an outside influence in order to create internal change.
Again,
about something. If there was no police department in Chicago whatsoever, the killing fields of Chicago would continue. So your corruption arguments, while they may appear to be appealing, they aren't, because police solve crimes. They don't prevent them. At least most police departments.
Actually,
the killings would continue.
No. Actually, you're wrong there. The reality is this, Scott. Police can prevent crimes. Police can prevent crimes. No. Police can prevent crimes based upon their interaction with communities. What I'm telling you, the situation in Chicago is so bad, the level of distrust that exists between the community and the cops is real. This is the Chicago Sun-Times right here. This is what it says. A visibly shaken Mayor Lori Lightfoot on Wednesday joined police officials in pleading for witnesses to tell police what they know about a shooting outside a gang funeral that left 15 people shot. This is what she said. We cannot give the killers, the shooters, any shelter. Someone listening at this moment knows who is responsible for these and other crimes. I implore you not to be silent in this moment. I recognize there is fear, but if we are silent, the violence will continue. This is our time to step up. We are the majority. We're the people who will change this narrative, but only if the silence is broken. Part of the silence, which we can't deny, is that community, they've said, we don't trust sharing the information with police because we know of cops who share it with gangs.
That may be accurate.
Doc, so if you in the neighborhood, you like, I don't trust them.
How's all that working for you all? The killing fields continue. Why not go in and shut them down with federal or state troops? Shut down the high shooting areas, the high murder rate areas. Shut down the gangs until you can get a handle.
Robert, final comment before I go to my coronavirus guest. Go.
Look, Scott, the reason is because we know that doesn't work. You have to cure the problem at its roots. And look, understand, you have a police department in Chicago that just got done covering for the killers of Laquan McDonald. Then they spent a year going after Juicy Smollett, and then you found the police commissioner, Sloppy Eddie, passed out in his car. So why would you think that police department is about to prosecute these criminals, and instead of doing something,
I said federal
doing something about fixing the problem?
And state troops.
The Chicago Police Department has a fundamental problem, and that is folks don't trust them in this. No, I'm sorry. Let me correct that. White folks trust the police department.
So, Roland, what's the answer?
1 second.
What's the answer?
No, the answer is one of the things you have to do is you have to bring in first of all, they have a new police chief there, and what you have to do is you have to simply say, we have got to get rid of a bunch of folks in this department who are not concerned about the community. They are concerned about protecting themselves. And that is going to require courage and looking the union in the eye and saying, if they do wrong, if they break those dash cam, those antennas, don't turn cameras on, and if they lie in reports, they're gone. You got to have some trust. Folks, as of today, there are 3.97 million confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the United States. 1.6 million people have recovered and 144,000 have died. As the nations grapple with how to slow the spread, scientists work frantically to find a vaccine. Today, the United States announced they are giving $1.95 billion to two companies for the purchase of 100 million vaccines. Joining us right now is Dr. Joseph L. Graves, Jr., Professor of Biological Sciences at North Carolina A&T University. Doc, glad to have you back on the show. What do you make of these companies saying they are seeing promising results of these vaccines and could have something by the end of the year? Do you believe it?
Yeah, I believe it. And I think it's good news. There have been some new techniques applied to the development of these vaccines. So I believe that we're going to have them. The problem, however, is the 100 million doses. Because, as you know, we have a population of 330 million people. So 100 million doses are going to have to be administered as quickly as possible, and people are going to need to take the vaccine for us to begin to get a handle on reducing the transmission of COVID 2019. And at this point, there's no guarantee how that's going to happen.
And part of the issue when you talk about even that vaccine is then getting people to actually take it. And you got people out there, you got black people who are saying, man, I ain't trusting this whole thing. You got Tuskegee. You got all these white anti-vaxxers out there as well. And so that presents a huge problem. Hell, you got people right now who won't even put a damn mask on.
I mean, I don't know what to say, because I remember having this conversation with you back in early March and making these dire predictions of what would happen if people didn't change their behavior. And so now we're beginning to see this. And of course, the situation is made worse when the chief executive officer of the United States had no plan and certainly no intention of taking the actions necessary to try to stop the spread of this pandemic. The fact that he was more concerned with making himself look good for re-election, which of course he has failed to do because he hasn't effectively handled this pandemic, rather than listening to scientific experts and following and allowing them to develop a plan has left us in the situation we're in today.
So, in terms of where we go next, again, when it comes to these vaccines, when you hear Dr. Fauci, the head of CDC, says if we can get people in this country to shelter in place, put on masks, that we can truly get this under control in the next 1 to 2 months. Is that real? Is that legitimate?
Yeah, I believe that, and then the key thing again is people changing their behavior. And it's not just wearing a mask, but wearing a mask properly and maintaining social distance. One of the things that people need to understand is that even if you wear a mask, well, it cuts down the probability of spreading the infection by 80%. That effect only lasts about 5 minutes. And that is if you're with someone else who's wearing a mask, it lasts for 5 minutes. So the key thing then again is if you're wearing a mask, you still have to understand that you can still transmit this virus, even if you're asymptomatic. So you have to avoid large groups of people. You have to maintain your physical distance, and you really should only be going out if you have to. And of course, the difficulty is that for many lower income, poor people, and particularly African Americans and Latinos, those people have to go out and they have to work because the federal government hasn't acted to provide the supports in terms of, food and shelter that people need when, in fact, they're being asked to shelter in place.
You have the D.C. mayor who moments ago ordered requiring masks outside the home. Then, of course, you got Governor Brian Kemp, who's pissed off, and he wants to overrule all the mayors in Georgia who are trying to do the exact same thing. And so here you have mayors who are trying to be responsible. That's what happened in Texas. Mayor Sylvester Turner, Harris County Judge Hidalgo, they had mask mandates. Well, idiot Governor Greg Abbott overrules them. Then all of a sudden cases explode in Texas. And then he goes, we might need to have a mask mandate. We were trying to tell you that, dumbass.
Again, I hate it when I'm right, Roland. This is something, and I'm of the mind that these people need to be held accountable because the science around mask wearing and simple means to prevent the spread of the coronavirus were well known. So none of this was a mystery to them, but yet they insisted on taking actions prematurely to try to, quote, reopen the economy. And again, I understand the need for people to work and to have a paycheck. So I'm not saying that there's not a concern there. But if you're talking about the difference between people dying and not being able to work, then I think we want to try to keep people alive. And that's what these people fail to understand. All right. Dr. Joseph Graves, Jr., Professor, Biological Studies, Sciences at North Carolina A&T. Was really appreciated. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Roland. I don't know what it's going to take, Robert, to get these idiots to actually do what's right. I just really don't. I'm telling you right now, listen up, black people, and my white fans who are watching as well. Okay? Right now in the Bahamas, they ain't accepting nobody from the United States. Mexico, nope, y'all can't come here. Europe, y'all can't come here. Okay? Donald Trump talks about a wall. The whole world is putting basically a blockade on the United States because we got too many stuck on stupid people in this country who don't know how to keep their asses at home, who don't know how to put on masks, don't know how to wash their hands and protect themselves. Here we are, Teresa, 5 months. 5 months after this thing really began to pick up steam, and we're still dealing with folks who just want to run their ass out there and go to restaurants and bars and be on the beach and swim as if the Spanish flu wasn't real. 500 million people were infected with the Spanish flu from 1918 to 1920. An estimated 17 to 50 million died. These fools act like that can't happen again. But we got 144,000 Americans who've already died.
Yeah, I mean, look, and we got the archives to prove it because, Spanish flu allegedly, started here in Philadelphia. So It's bad. We can buy, and I keep going into supermarkets and CVS pharmacies and other small little bodegas, and I'm seeing the shelves empty of Clorox hand sanitizer, soap in itself, and yet it's like, okay, well, that's enough. And so, when we start reopening, and legislators are saying, hey, we're into these phases where it is time to reopen, we have to really start thinking about a conscious understanding of what the environment actually looks like. One, it's summer, right? So people are looking for, that freedom during their summertime break. But part of it is we have to be very aware that this is a pandemic under new leadership that doesn't seem like leadership really has this under control. So really the escalation on the trend of this pandemic has, with after 5 months has been trending in the direction that we don't want it to trend in. So, it's interesting, I saw some of the conversations that governors were having on TV. It was more so about we're going to reopen and we're not going to put any mandates on masks. We're just going to allow people to do what they know is best to do. And that's just not right. I mean, we have people who really just have a disregard for this pandemic and a disregard for their fellow neighbor. And so I live in an apartment complex. And so, even when we're going in the elevator, they're still doing 4 or 5 or more, and so it's issues like this when it's like, we can put in as many PSAs, we can educate the public about the seriousness of this, especially when we don't have the vaccine for it yet. But I think it really is a encompass of, the governors in order to really put a strict mandate that no person should be going to any establishment without a mask. Point, place, and period.
And what has to happen, Scott, this has to be rigid. It has to be, and right, put up some new signs. No shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. And if you stay in your dumb ass out there yelling and screaming, trying to cuss personnel out, lock the damn door and stand there and yell. But the problem is you cannot change this when you've got these Republican governors who are, this is impacting our freedom. No, it's no, this shouldn't happen. And this also comes down to money. And this whole deal is, if you want to understand America, everything comes down to money. Oh, we can't do this. Right. This is going to kill the businesses. No, what's going to kill the businesses are a bunch of dead people who can no longer come to your business.
Yeah. Roland, I'm starting to think that this is not fixable the way we're doing it. That it's too inconsistent with groups of people in different states. You have a lot of people who are honoring all of the rules, if you will. They're doing their masks, they're washing their hands, they're staying home. But you have a whole nother group of people who are undermining that by doing just the opposite. That's why the numbers keep going up and down. And so I'm starting to think maybe until we get a vaccine, we're just going to be in this altered state, if you will, that sometimes you think you can go out, you can't, you're going to have these fluctuating numbers, or we need to be thinking about a different approach. I've never been a big fan of what they call hoarding, if you will, or whatever they call that.
Herding,
not hoarding. Herding. I've never been a big fan of that because I think there are too many people, as I understand the concept, too many people in America to be able to do that effectively. But I got to tell you, I don't need President Trump to agree with me to know I'm right, that this isn't working, because it's just too inconsistent. And if there's another way to do this until we can get a vaccine, or we just hunker down until we get a vaccine, that's just kind of what the facts are telling us right now. Because I hear you every week. Every week you say the same thing over and over again, Roland. And and because it's true.
Because here's the deal. Because if these fools don't want to listen,
that's right.
I'm going to tell y'all, Robert, if the rest of these folk want to kill themselves, that's cool. But also, stop having these stop having these get-togethers. I know somebody had a get-together, 10 people over the house, and they said, and I think, well, no, they were inside.
Oh, inside.
Oh, we know one of the folks had it before. No. We were still fine. We were all wearing masks, but you know what happens? Folks take the mask off. They ain't wearing the whole
drink
time.
With that mask.
And guess what? His ass got coronavirus. He got it. Hey, Robert, can't nobody come to my house.
Well, Roland, I think part of the issue that we had is that from the beginning we kept getting inconsistent information from leadership. There's this concept of medical martial law, which is the same way that in national security emergencies the military takes over and runs the jurisdiction of the country, that we have to have the same for medical situations such as this. That because of the incorrect information that we got from leadership from the beginning, it'll be over by Easter. It'll magically disappear in April. The warm weather will just wash it away. 99.9% of the people will get better just automatically. We'll have a cure in a couple months. Take magical pills, drink bleach, UV light, all those things are why people do not understand exactly what the virus is. And when people don't get clear messaging and do not understand things, then they just go back to the status quo and do exactly what they feel like. You have a lot of people who don't understand that that when you're dealing with SARS-CoV-2, that it is a single strand of RNA inside of a lipid shell with a protein corona around it. When it gets into the lung system, it goes and attacks the alveoli first, and what makes it so insidious is that it slowly breaks its way into the alveoli. It basically hacks the system of your blood cells, infecting it and replacing sending its RNA, which then replicates, creating an inflammatory reaction called a cytokine storm, and that's normally what finally makes you sick and gets you into the hospital. The problem is that because that takes 2 weeks to sometimes more, you are walking around now expelling these RNA cells or these COVS2 cells into the air as you are moving. You're infecting other people. And that is what, if you just immediately fell into dust the minute you got it, then this would have been over in 2 weeks. But because it is so slowly interacting with individuals, because it so slowly infects them, and because the mortality rate is considered to be low, people think they can just walk around as normal and that nothing will happen to them. If we had consistent messaging from leadership and one consistent national policy, as we saw the EU do when they shut down the entire European continent, basically, as one nation, because remember, the EU is about the same size the United States of America has taken as a whole. The countries that did the full shutdown have now recovered and are doing well. Countries like Sweden, who tried to do herd immunity, are doing horribly. We have to follow the scientific information and not have this culture war around questions of, we're having a culture war about whether you should wear a mask or not. We're having a culture where there are COVID truthers out there who swear up and down that all these numbers are made up and inflated. You have people who are still pushing hydroxychloroquine as a cure when it's been debunked by literally every medical organization in the world. In order for this coronavirus truther conspiracy to actually be true, you would have to think that the EU, China, India, every major nation in the world, the NBA, NFL, every major corporation in the United States, every major medical organization known to mankind is all working together to conspire to stop Donald Trump from winning re-election. That is what it takes for these conspiracy theories to be true, but you still have people pushing those, and that disinformation is what's hurting us.
And these Republican governors are so stupid, are so dumb. Brian Kemp, Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott, that they are so hell-bent on not disagreeing with Donald Trump that they will literally kill people in their state because of their awful leadership. That is a fundamental problem. Got to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to a sister who's running for Congress from the state of Washington to become the first African-American to ever represent that state in Congress. You also hear the audio of Congressman Bobby Rush saying Donald Trump flat out wants to have a race war. Did Joe Biden actually say Donald Trump is America's first racist president? Yeah, Joe, that's not a good one. And J. Anthony Brown is here for Wild 'N Out Wednesday. All right, folks, we got all of that coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
The COVID-19 death toll now more than 141,000.
1,000 new deaths reported overnight.
It is what it is.
40 million people have lost their jobs in 10 weeks.
It is what it is.
Masked and camouflaged federal agents detaining peaceful protesters.
It is what it is.
The British socialite is accused of conspiring with Epstein to sexually abuse minors.
I wish her well. Whatever it is, I just wish her well, frankly.
Can you imagine standing up when you're in prison saying, it's not my responsibility? I take no responsibility. It's not, I mean, literally. Literally.
Those words didn't come out of our mouths while we were in office.
I don't understand his inability to get a sense of what people are going through. He just can't relate in any way.
Well, and one of the things that I
have always known about you, Joe. It's the reason why I wanted you to be my vice president and the reason why you were so effective. And it all starts with being able to relate. If you can sit down with a family and see your own family in them and the struggles that you've gone through or your parents went through or your kids are going through, if you can connect those struggles to somebody else's struggles, then you're going to work hard for them. And that's always what's motivated you to get into public service.
What kind of president threatens to veto the authorization bill for the United States military, threatens to veto pay raises for our troops, threatens defense operations that protect our country from foreign attack, not because of a legitimate policy disagreement, but just to stop the military from taking Confederate names off of some bases and renaming them for American heroes? Why is Trump so hell-bent on defending racist traitors who attacked our country, yet he won't say a word about the bounties his Russian master put on the heads of our troops in Afghanistan? No president has ever sold out our troops the way this one does. Traitor Trump.
All right, let's talk about these new viral ads. Scott, first, that Vote Vets ad there. Donald Trump wants to hug the flag. These vets have been going after him. And then the fact that he said nothing about, again, Russia targeting, paying bounties on the military. Look, Republicans have always counted on military votes. They see an opening.
Yeah, the Lincoln ad or the Lincoln Project was one of those ads, and then the military piece. You know, it just shows the complexity or the numerous spaces, political spaces upon which Donald Trump is failing America and even failing his Republican constituents, at least not that 40%, but the moderate Republicans or the Bush or even the Reagan Republicans and stuff. And I think those ads are more effective than the Democratic ads that I've seen. Democrats need to hire the Lincoln, the people who do the Lincoln ads, if you ask me. I mean, it's just powerful.
Teresa, I have absolutely no idea what the hell the Democratic Party is doing. I mean, I literally, look, we've had, this is real. We've had a number of these segments. So we've turned this into a whole segment, these anti-Trump viral videos that being placed online. I think we've only run one or two that's come from a Democratic group. What are they doing?
And all they have is that wolves thing that they...
Teresa, what are they doing?
I had a whole pause because I am so irritated right now with the Democratic Party as it relates to how they are getting their message out. It's more, I feel like they're in defense mode. And, it's like miscellaneous items that are kind of going up for talking points and, more so Biden's face. But we're not seeing any, like you said, Roland, some of that real content where it really combats Donald Trump on everything that he's saying. I mean, there is content for days since he got into office. And that's why I'm just really struggling with the fact that there's not a media agency that is strictly behind. It's not like they don't have the funds to do it. And since we're likely not having a convention, all that money that was going to be going to a venue could go into these ads, or could it go into, other media agencies, digital platforms like yourself, in order to get the word out and let them know, hey, this election matters. And this is the reason why. But give people talking points. So when they come across a Donald Trump supporter, a Kanye West supporter in some states, if he gets on the ballot, then it brings an opportunity for those talking points about, Joe Biden versus the one that Trump is bringing to the table.
Robert, I run Don Winslow's ads. I run the Lincoln Project. I'll run Vote Vets. I'm like, Democrats, do y'all not know how to put together hard-hitting ads?
There's a lot of material.
Roland, look, you have to remember the Democratic Party has been dysfunctional for 20 years. We think that because Barack Obama won twice, that somehow that absolved this party. He was a singular figure who was able to rise above the dysfunction of the Democratic Party establishment as it lies. Remember, Republicans have only won the popular vote one time since 1988. In 2004 is the only time since 1988 the Republicans have won the popular vote. But yet and still, for the majority of this century, they have been in charge of politics in this country. Right now, there's this existential conversation with the Democratic Party about direction. Are we going the Bernie direction? Are we trying to still appeal to moderates? Are we trying to work towards more diversity and racial reconciliation? And because of that, they're running scared. There's no fundamental principles to the party. There's no clear thing that they are willing to run on because they're simply trying to win by default and not offend anybody. So while these ads may appeal to certain swing Republicans, right now there are no swing Republicans left. We have been a 51-49 nation since Bush v. Gore. So what Democrats need to be doing is beating the Bushes to motivate their base, get young people turned out to vote, get more African Americans and minorities turned out to vote. Get more women motivated to turn out and vote. And unless you're presenting a positive message, negative ads against Trump can hold steady. They can steady the ship. But until you're putting forth that actual policy agenda that's going to get people excited to get out there and vote, the same way the MAGA crowd is excited for Trump, then there's no way to overcome that. Trump is an unpollable number. No matter what the polls say, you can throw all of them out the window. You have to run as if you're 10 points down the entire time. I don't see Democrats doing that right now.
Well, that's the case. All right, folks. Tacoma's former two-term mayor and city council member. Before that is running to become Washington State's first black representative in Congress. Marilyn Strickland joins me now to talk about her campaign. Marilyn, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me here, Roland. How are you?
Doing great. So first and foremost, when it comes to this Congress, what do you want to do? What do you want to bring?
So, before COVID, we didn't imagine that in July we would be in the middle of a public health crisis, an economic crisis, and dealing with social unrest based on racism and inequity. And here we are. Now, when I think about my agenda before COVID, it was really about having people's basic needs met. And I tell the story of growing up in a military family. We lived in a modest home in South Tacoma, and we had a roof over our head. We had food on our table. We had access to health care at Madigan Army Medical Center. And we knew that after serving in the Army for 20 years, my father would retire comfortably. That is not true for so many people today. And so I think about what I want to do. It's the things that are right in front of us. We have a public health crisis. And I was listening to the conversation while I was in the green room here online waiting for you. And we just talked about the complete lack of leadership at the top of this country regarding how we handled COVID. And I look at how other countries did it. They said everyone's going to mask up. We're going to do testing. Everyone's going to stay home. We're going to contact trace, and they got it under control. And here we are with the 50-state strategy going every which way, and this is why we're still in the middle of this pandemic. And so I think about the public health crisis, Roland. I think about the fact that people are losing their jobs because of COVID, and now they don't have any health insurance. So what are we doing to the healthcare system to get people back on it, or at least giving them some kind of cash relief so that they can purchase insurance on the market that's affordable? And then finally, Roland, I just talk about economic opportunity. Small businesses are the backbone of this economy, and we know that a lot of minority and women-owned businesses have been left out of these PPP relief funds. And so it's about shoring up our economy, putting health first, looking at science, testing people, manufacturing equipment here at home, and then doing what we can to stabilize this nation.
One of the issues, though, let's say you get elected, Democrats control the House, and then let's say Joe Biden wins. Republicans have run up such a massive debt in this country. This is what's going to happen. All of a sudden, the Freedom Caucus is going to rediscover their inner fiscal conservative voice. What do you then say to folks who say, well, wait a minute, Republicans didn't give a damn about the deficit. Why should Democrats come in and begin to slash programs to pay for their tax cuts? So first, should the Trump tax cuts be repealed?
Yes, they should. And at a minimum, we should at least go back to the level that we had when Obama was president. I would also say, too, though, our house is on fire, and we're going to have to make expenditures to stabilize the economy and to keep people whole. And so as we think about this debt, I would say, yes, the debt's important, but at the same time, we have to invest in people and we have to stabilize them. And also too, Roland, we need to invest in infrastructure if we're going to put people back to work. And we know that when we do those things, the economy can become more stable because we grow the tax base. But you're right. We're not talking about the debt right now. We tend not to talk about it when the GOP is in control, but then when Democrats are in control, it suddenly becomes a big issue. But right now,
Right.
I'm focused on just trying to help people. I mean, people are suffering, they are scared, and they don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the unemployment benefit is supposed to expire soon. And so we just got to get people stabilized and try to get cash in their hands so they can make it through this pandemic, Roland.
Well, that's why what I want is if you get elected and they start talking, I just want you to say, shut the hell up. Y'all didn't say nothing about the debt for the last 4 years, so shut up right now. All right, questions from my panelists. I'm going to start with Teresa. Teresa?
I don't. Is this related to our candidacy, Roland?
Teresa, ask whatever the hell you want to ask. Really? This ain't the first time you've asked a guest a question?
Okay, so you are running. So what are the three platforms that you want to do in the district? Can you hear me?
Teresa, she already answered that. Teresa, I'm going to come back to you. I'm coming back to you. I'm coming back to you, damn. Robert.
It's okay.
No, I try to give my panelists an opportunity to sit here and engage in the conversation without me sitting here asking all of the questions, and your ass just blank out. Robert, go ahead. Put your phone down. You damn millennials and your Gen Zers, you're on your phone all the damn time, and you ain't paying attention, Teresa. Robert, I know you got a question.
Thank you so much for your candidacy and your sacrificing yourself for public office. You suggested a very aggressive Keynesian economic strategy for pulling us out of the current economic depression that we're going into. However, with the coronavirus the way that it is, knowing that we'll have a vaccine for a year, 18 months, 24 months, many RNA viruses don't get a vaccine for up to 6 years sometimes. How would this Keynesian economic policy work if we are in an extended lockdown before going back to work? How long could we continue these levels of governmental spending? Would they be open-ended? Would they simply be a kind of like at the end of the New Deal, where it needed World War II levels of spending in order to actually pull us out of that hole? What would be your cutoff point, or what would be your thresholds?
Got it.
No, and this is a really good question because, realistically, before we have a sustainable economic recovery, we have to get the public health crisis under control. And this is how I come back to the whole idea of we know we need more testing. We need to invest and manufacture all the equipment that we need right here at home. I mean, listen to the stories you hear about we couldn't find tests, we didn't have PPEs, we couldn't find this, we're having to import things. Or you hear stories about places that are hoarding them. The president needs to invoke the Defensive Manufacturing Act and have the federal government make investments here in local companies to manufacture all the equipment we need. And that is consistent with how we're going to have to recover from this pandemic. But I will tell you, I look at the leadership or lack thereof, and I wish that our president would get up there. I wish President Trump, let me correct that. I wish President Trump would get up and say, okay, America, we have a problem. Here's what we're going to do. Everyone is going to have to mask up, period, wherever you go out. It doesn't make any difference. And we're going to stay home for about 2 or 3 weeks until this thing gets a bit under control, and then we'll try to talk about a recovery. And so I think what I'm trying to say is the public health crisis has to be dealt with. At the same time, we're trying to get some manufacturing happening, and then we'll be able to have a full economic recovery. But it's going to take a while. And I worry that this pandemic is going to drag on. And in your previous conversation, when you all were talking, you talked about, is herd immunity going to be something that we do? How do we know what's going to happen after flu season when a bunch of people are going to think they have coronavirus and they show up in the emergency room and the hospitals are overwhelmed? And so much of this really is about following science, using information that we know we have, using contact tracing so that if people have been around someone who had COVID, let's get them into a facility and get tested. I mean, look at what South Korea did. And they had to go through the SARS event. So because they had a system set up with SARS, when COVID came along, they just handled it. And so are we going to have the ability as a country to have leadership and the will to stay our behinds at home like we're supposed to get this under control? I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Scott.
Yeah, Ms. Strickland, this is A. Scott Bolden. I want to follow up on one of your
statements. You didn't give your whole government name. Just ask your question.
I didn't know there were strictures on how I could.
I said, Scott, you ain't got to get a name. Go on, man. We ain't got all day. Come on.
She may not have heard you.
Come on, man.
In any event, how do you? I'm follow up on one of your answers earlier with Roland Martin. that, you want the tax cuts rolled back for sure to the rates when Barack Obama was in, but then you got to get the economy going, and whether it's infrastructure or whether it's other economic and tax incentives locally and at the national level, how do you do both when the economy, based on the pandemic and other issues, are going to be so jacked up if Biden wins that at least the first 2 to 4 years is just going to be trying to undo the damage that's been done under the GOP administration?
Yeah, I mean, I still come back to the important fundamental aspect of an economic recovery, and that is having consumers who have spending power. And think about some of the parts of the economy right now that have been decimated. Hospitality, right? Tourism isn't working anymore. Hotels are closing. We have no restaurant business, even large gatherings. Those are big parts of our economy. And until people feel safe going back to those things, they're not going to recover in those sectors. The other thing I would say, too, though, is that, I believe that as we look at how we're going to pay for some of these things, we need to look at our tax system because it is not equitable. And there are opportunities for people who make the very most to pay more. There are opportunities to look at some of these incentives and breaks that we can give to people to help stimulate growth, but also looking at some of the organizations that are just getting breaks for no good reason. I think we need to be. Go ahead.
Would you consider a tax increase as well as rolling the tax cuts back to get the economy going and to put more money into the federal coffers?
I would look at different sectors and really consider. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
She said she would. Go ahead. You look at different sectors.
Okay, yeah. I would look at different sectors and say, for example, with our small businesses, we know that they tend to have some of the biggest challenges. So are there incentives or rollbacks we can give to them? And then there's some of the largest companies who actually are doing quite well during this pandemic. And is there an opportunity to try to perhaps increase taxes or find ways to get more revenue from them? But those things alone are not going to cure us. We're going to have to deal again with the public health crisis, get money in people's hands, extend unemployment like we need to, and really make sure that, again, consumers have spending power to be a big part of this. And I will always come back to, as a former mayor, investing in infrastructure creates jobs.
That's right.
I was mayor of Tacoma after the last recession, and we did 3 things. We raised the minimum wage, we passed paid sick leave, we passed the largest infrastructure package in the history of the city of Tacoma to put people back to work. And then we also invested in small business. And that was really what got us back to being more stable. But it's going to be a long, hard road. I know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Teresa, you ready with a question?
I got another one.
No.
I'm ready. Ms. Strickland, sorry about earlier. I had got a message from my team, but that is totally not like me. As a small business owner and somebody who actually runs campaigns local and statewide for candidates, what is your campaign actually doing? And believe me, I love effective African-American women who has a track record of experience. So, post this, please let us know how we can support your campaign.
Thank you.
But as it relates to your campaign, we're in the midst of this COVID-19 crisis. What is something that you're outside of funding, because we all know that's what you need. But what is something that people can do in the district or external hands? I always say, many hands make light work.
Yes,
I'm sure
they do.
People say it too. But as it relates to on the ground, grassroots digital campaigns, what is something that people can do, after hearing you on Roland's platform and other platforms that you've done, so we can get involved, stay engaged, and make sure someone like you gets in and stays into office?
No, well, thank you for that. So I think the first thing you can do is follow me on social media. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, Maryland for Congress, Strickland for Washington. So we're there. And then the thing that's really important right now at this stage of the campaign, and let me tell you where we are. So in Washington State, it's all mail-in voting, and ballots dropped a few days ago. People are voting now, and they have to cast their ballot by the 4th of August. So it's all by mail here in Washington State. With that said, we're at that stage now where people are making phone calls and reaching out to voters, either through text messaging or through old school telephone calls. And so you can do that from anywhere in the country. So if you're interested in volunteering to help us get our message out and to reach voters, that will be much appreciated. And yes, we know the money matters because that's how we get our TV ads up. It's how we do digital. It's how we do all the other things we know that are traditional ways to reach people. But this is also a conversation about reaching out to voters, talking to them, and telling them about my candidacy and why they should vote for me. So if you want to participate as a volunteer via text messaging and telephones, we have plenty of room for that. And you can contact our campaign through stricklandforwashington.com, and we will hook you up.
All right, then. Marilyn Strickland, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much for being with us. Good luck.
Thank you for having me. It was nice to see all of you.
All right, good luck on August 4th. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk with a sister who owns a company. She actually wants to create the Black Shopping Network. We'll discuss it. And while not Wednesday, have a little fun with J. Anthony Brown next on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, glad to have y'all watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. We want y'all to support the show. Look, perfect example, interviews like that. It's not like Marilyn Strickland is getting an opportunity to share what she's doing on a national platform. That's one of the reasons why we created this show, the ability to be able to offer a platform to African Americans, just like we were about to have this conversation next with this sister with a company. Every Tuesday, we feature Black-owned businesses right here on the show. Then, of course, every Wednesday, we also have our segment that deals with African Americans who have technology companies, and so that's one of the things that we do. And the reason we have Wild Not Wednesday, because you got black comedians out there who aren't out there right now doing comedy clubs, and so we want to be able just to provide them a platform as well. Let me give a shout out to some folks. Let's see here, Kashonda Norman. Larry Dyer, they have joined our Bring the Funk fan club with their contributions, and I certainly appreciate it. We also Al Searles as well. Folks, if you want to support us, go to, if you right now, there are almost 4,869 of you on YouTube right now. Y'all can give right there on YouTube to support us. You can also, of course, go to Cash App, which is $RM Unfiltered, PayPal.me/R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo.com/RM Unfiltered. You can, just like the rest of these folks here, you can send your money order, your check to New Vision Media, NU Vision Media, 1625 K Street, Suite 400, Washington, D.C., 2006. If you want to use a credit card, like when I use Scott's, all you got to do is go to Roland Martin Unfiltered, and what you can do is you can use the Square app to use the credit card. And so we appreciate everybody who has contributed, who's joined our fan club. We're closing in on 10,000. Our goal by the end of the year is to have 20,000 of our fans contributing an average of $50 each, which is $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. That means that we can stay on, we can add new features, we can be completely independent, to be able to bring you the kind of news and information that you want and that you need. We have tremendous growth over the last several months. We're closing in on right now. So here's the deal. A lot of y'all watching on YouTube right now, y'all actually not subscribers. We want y'all to click the subscriber button. We have right now 586,125 subscribers. We passed 500,000 on June 4th. We're closing in on 600,000. And so all you got to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. And what you do is you click notification button. So every time we go live, when we have a live special, we're covering a protest, we have a conference, we have a speech, a summit, then you instantly it'll pop up on your phone when we are live. And so that's why we created this platform. Somebody also tweeted, why am I wearing this shirt? I want to show some love to Hank Aaron, of course, one of our greats. When I was honored with the Hank Aaron Award, he actually, this was a jersey they gave me, and then of course they had on the back, they told us we could pick our number. I know this is going to hurt Scott's feelings, but I had to go ahead and put 06 on the back of my jersey. Just so you understand, Scott, I know everybody couldn't be an alpha, but you had to go to some little youth group. That's what Kappas are. And Hank Aaron also signed this. And so, yes, he actually, that's Hank Aaron's autograph. Scott was a hater when I walked in. He was like, man, you ain't got no Hank Aaron signed jersey. I said, yeah, I don't have it hanging up. I'm wearing it.
I'm trying to get over that youth company or
at the youth group. Said. All right, y'all. So support us in what we do. And so shout out to the great Hank Aaron. I just want to show him some love today. That's why I'm wearing the jersey. The only time y'all ever see me wearing a non-Astros jersey, if I'm Hank Aaron, Jackie Robinson, and then I think I got a Roberto Clemente. That's it. I don't wear other people's stuff. but I had to show my man Hank Aaron some love, and I still appreciate being an honoree with the Hank Aaron Award. All right, y'all, let's talk some business here. And that is black folks, like everybody else, love spending money. It's all good. We know what we do. But Janice McLean Deloach, she says, you know what? We can do more. She's a long-time entrepreneur, opened her first business, a beauty school in her late teens. She had her own pantyhose vending machine business, placed in the women's room in most NFL stadiums. Now she's created the first TV show that focused on small business entrepreneurs. On July 7th, Blackout Tuesday, Janice launched a small minority business development platform called the Black Shopping Network. She joins us now to talk about it. So, Janice, glad to have you here. What is the Black Shopping Network? What is that?
Hi, Roland. Thank you for allowing me to be on your show today. The Black Shopping Networks is a platform where Black and brown people can shop and share their businesses and shop and buy businesses from minority-owned companies that are Black and brown and women.
All right, and so what is the platform? I mean, is it like the Home Shopping Network, which is an actual television channel? Is this going to be digital? So exactly what's the platform?
So right now it is a digital platform. It is online only, but the plan in the future is to roll out and make this an television and televised production that will be on somebody's network. And the purpose is to support entrepreneurs and women in business. And let me just say, the Black Shopping Networks with an S.com was created as a result of me. I wrote a book called Autobiography of an Entrepreneur. And part of that was my frustration trying to get other networks to take my book and profile my book on their shopping networks. And so I did not want to. Our website is www.theblackshoppingnetworks.com.
That's somebody's Facebook page. No. That's actually a website. So you got, but it's so we didn't have the. All right, so now we got that. Now we have the. So theblackshoppingnetworks.com with an S on the end. All right. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But you got to put that in because it's kind of important.
That's right. It is. And you're right. So let's make sure we got it right. The www.theblackshoppingnetworks with an S on the end.com. And so this was actually created out of me deciding that I did not want to wait for people to validate the fact that my books or my products or what I wanted to sell or other people who look like me wanted to sell. And, we're being denied the opportunity to have our products and books and that kind of thing on a shopping network. So, if you will, this is the shopping network for Black and brown people and women. It's definitely women supported.
So, okay, so how does somebody get on it? Are they paying to have their products on? Do you get on for free? Are you getting a cut of sales? How does that work?
Okay, so there are 4 tiers. There's tier 1, which is for the person who says, I think I'm going to start my own business. And right now, during COVID-19, there's a lot of interest in people taking up hobbies and turning them into businesses. And so, at the same time, the economy has taken a downturn and people may not financially have the money to really be able to, finance something like they need time. They need some help. So tier 1 is for people who want to just see if entrepreneurship is for them, want to try to get their business out there and see what happens. And then there's tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 is for companies who have actually been around for a while and are ready to move their products or platforms and businesses to the next level. And they can do it with me and the other vendors and people who are part of the Black Shopping Network. Now, through August the 1st, you can sign up for 2 months. You'll get 1 month free if you are a vendor or a business. And if you are a shopper and you sign up from now through August the 1st, we will actually give you a digital coin. And when I say we, there's a team of people that are working with me to pull this together. So thank you to you guys. You all know who you are, and I'm so grateful to have your help, and thank you. So through August the 1st, if you sign up as a shopper, you will receive a digital coin in your digital wallet online to be able to shop the merchants that have signed up. And so far, we've had quite a few interesting companies sign up, and interestingly enough, they are all women. So women definitely don't wait around for things to happen. We definitely make it happen. So kudos to you ladies who have signed up so far.
All right, then. Well, we certainly appreciate it. Good luck in what you're doing. And again, folks, it is theblackshoppingnetworks.com. Again, go check it out, folks. Go to the website and look at the products on there, and certainly support those businesses. Janice Deloach, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, then. All right, folks, I got to talk about this crazy story, okay? California's Redwood City joined many cities across the country in painting a Black Lives Matter mural on their streets until recently when they quietly removed it. Redwood City gave a local resident, Daniel Peace, permission to paint the Black Lives Matter mural during a 4th of July public art celebration. They even supplied him with the paint. But a local real estate attorney, Maria Rutenberg, asked to have a MAGA 2020 sign on the same street. The city suddenly decided that the BLM mural was a traffic hazard and washed it away in the middle of the night. Okay, Robert, this is stupid to me. First of all, MAGA 2020 is a political slogan that is specifically tied to a candidate. Is this the city not having any guts in telling this person? Hell no.
I think that's exactly what it is. Clearly, if this was a legal matter that went to court, because Black Lives Matter is not a political slogan, because it is a consciousness movement, they would have good standing to win, but they're trying to avoid the lawsuit, trying to avoid the fees that will be associated with trying to fight this in court, and trying to split the baby down the middle to not make anyone upset. That's the point about having actual political courage. It means you have to be able to withstand the blows that come against it. Everybody can do what's popular. Everybody can do what's easy. It takes people with real courage and conviction to not just do what's symbolic, but stand behind it. So I think what the city can do, if they really want to have an effect on this, instead of just writing it on the streets, institute some real policies that support the agenda of Black Lives Matter. So institute some real procurement that helps Black people get them through city contracting, hire more African Americans to work in City Hall, and hire more African Americans for city employment. Then you don't have to worry about what's written on the street, because you would have to actually have lived out that purpose instead of simply buying into a slogan.
Teresa, I'm sorry. That's where you got to tell some people, man, go to hell. We ain't painting Joe Biden 2020, so we ain't gonna print no MAGA 2020.
I agree with Brother Robert. You know, there were so many instances where this city could have really stepped up, but in the middle of the night, in the middle of many conversations, not knowing the full story about this developer and who this developer is, and have they donated to campaigns, and are they going to stop a construction project? But again, it comes to the ignorance of some of these developers and corporations who feel like, you know, their voice just need to be heard. And I get it. But again, this is not a campaign type of situation. This is, honestly, it was a time for the mayor to actually step up and say, listen, this is why Black Lives Matter was actually painted on the street, because this dialogue about inequality, police brutality, you know, protecting the rights of African Americans all makes sense. And especially as a developer, for them, especially if they were doing affordable housing, you need to know and be educated about, you know, what it matters the most. So it definitely was a missed opportunity for that mayor. So I hope the members in that community are paying attention, because in the middle of the night, late in the midnight hour, if the mayor is ready and willing to say, yes, I'm there for the moment, but in the middle of the night, wash it away, that's exactly what they're going to do with their policies on this next term inside that office.
Well, but you got to take a closer look at this, though. The painting itself was going to wear out eventually. And so the government, because of the MAGA person, accelerated that process. Now, MAGA individual, the lawyer, got what he or she wanted, right?
Right.
So let's not misread Redwood City now. They sided with MAGA as opposed to Black Lives Matter. And so it'll be interesting to see whether the MAGA individual still pushes to have a painted MAGA 2020. If they don't, you'll see that confirms that Redwood City got what they wanted. Black Lives Matter.
Well, no, MAGA got what they wanted.
MAGA got
what they wanted, and Redwood City buckled like some punks.
Exactly.
And what they should have said, man, go to hell. Robert, go ahead.
Just exactly to Scott's point that when you cave into these things, it shows what the real morals and values of that city are. So I think this would be a perfect time for activists in that area to push for real systemic change. If you want to change, if you don't want this written on the street, which guess what? None of us were asking for y'all to write Black Lives Matter on the street. Nobody was marching and protesting and rioting for you to decorate the city. You can fly all the flags and all the banners that you want, but if you're not putting in actual systemic changes in the way that you police Black communities and gentrification and redevelopment and redlining and in every other aspect of the community that actually needs to be fixed, you can keep it. Like, look, guess what? If you can fix your police department and fix your minority contracting, fixing your procurement, right wherever the hell you want on the street, that's what people are actually protesting for, not to have decoration.
Yeah, but you could also watch this, Robert, too, that Black Lives Matter, that individual or the group itself, this is a moment that they could expand on or push the city on or even go to court on, if you will, to expose Redwood City and find out exactly what the regs say, what the law says, what the zoning says, because you got a huge free speech piece here, a huge one that the government's trying to regulate, and they're trying to avoid that fight. If I was Black Lives Matter, I'd make an issue of it and take it to local court.
Scared asses. That's what they are. Just flat out scared, okay, just weak. All right, folks, we do have an in memoriam to share with you, folks. Another civil rights icon has passed. This is Charles Evers, the brother of Medgar Evers. He's died at the age of 97. Evers became the first Black mayor of a Mississippi town or city since Reconstruction when he was elected mayor of Fayette in 1969. In his 1971 autobiography, Evers said he was a gun-toting bootlegger, a numbers runner, and a pimp in Chicago before coming back to Mississippi after his brother was assassinated in June of 1963. He came back and assumed the role of state NAACP field secretary, the position his late brother held. He died surrounded by family at his Rankin County home. And so Charles Evers died at the age of 97. All right, folks. Let me just thank everybody for being here. Scott, Teresa, and Robert. Teresa, you going
leave her alone.
Nah, hell no.
Leave her alone.
Yeah, Teresa. What?
Don't back down. Don't apologize.
Again, I promise.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sure it's not going to happen again. Scott, I'm done with you, too. So, Robert, appreciate it. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Roland.
Robert, tell the folks, I wish I could be there in Georgia, but for the funeral of C.T. Vivian, and I have not made a decision if I'm even going to go to John Lewis's funeral. I'm just not. I'm not playing around with this coronavirus. I mean, this is, and people, and I saw that video. Them folks were not practicing safe distancing, moving that C.T. Vivian's coffin past the King Center, and so I just need Black people listening. I need y'all to practice safe distancing. We're dying at a higher rate than everybody else. And Scott, didn't your daughter want some friends to come by? And you like, I don't know them.
Well, they traveled, quite frankly, to Florida or Jamaica, and they came back, and I told my daughter she had to self-quarantine for 14 days. She told me I didn't love her, and I said, yes, I do. That's why you got to self-quarantine.
You made a self-quarantine?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I'm saying. That's what you do. All right, y'all, got to go to a break. We come back. We're going to talk to comedian J. Anthony Brown. You remember him from Time Joyner Morning Show, now on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Y'all wait too early. I ain't done. So again, Tom Joyner Morning Show, now on the Steve Harvey Morning Show, got his own comedy club in L.A. Y'all, you know he ignorant, straight ignorant. He's next, the Roland Martin Unfiltered. Martin Unfiltered, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, y'all, it's Wild Out Wednesday. Joining us this week is J. Anthony Brown. Let me tell you about something about his late ass. Y'all, J. Anthony Brown, let me tell y'all something. J. Anthony Brown sent me go ahead and pull him up. Y'all, J. Anthony Brown sent me a text months ago. Hey man, wanna come on your show? Y'all, we had Jay booked. We had Jay booked and everything. Didn't answer the damn phone. That was about 3 months ago. Man, my booker Jackie was so hot. She's like, what in the world? I was like, put him in the penalty box. And then finally he like, okay, I'm ready to come on last week. I'm like, was a Negro in quarantine for 3 months?
I don't see Roland. Where is he?
No. Here's the problem. We're on FaceTime, and so what happens is we're running the FaceTime through our control room, so you can't see me, but you can hear me. So pretend.
I definitely hear you.
So pretend you're on the damn radio.
Okay, all right.
So how you been handling this COVID-19 stuff, man?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I'm staying away from regular people that I used to hang out with. They can't come around no more, man. I'm quarantined, and I'm at that. I got everything already, so I don't need to catch none. You know, I got high blood pressure, diabetes. I just got over cancer, so you got to stay away from me. You can't come around me at all, at all.
So when folks say...
I'm mailing my vote in. When I vote, I'm going to mail it in. You know, that's the way I'm doing it. I'm doing it that way. And when I do go out, I'm all masked up. I got on a hazmat suit right now just to talk to you. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good. We just sitting here, man, having fun. The show is going great.
I'm proud of you, man, by stepping out there on your own and putting your own show together. And I'll be telling people all the time, the internet has changed the game. You don't have to wait for these big markets and these radio markets and these TV markets for you to put your products out there. If that's what you want to do, get you a camera, get you a mic, or just get you an iPhone and go to work. That's all you got to do. It's so simple now.
Now let me tell y'all something. If y'all think I'm a gadget freak, there's no gadget known. J. Anthony Brown got more gadgets than me. I know y'all think I'm lying.
No, in fact, Roland, check this out. I just produced a show that's on YouTube. It's called I Got a Gadget. So you sent us one of your gadgets and you were on the show, and anybody out there who has a gadget, go to I Got a Gadget. I love gadgets. Gadgets make you sane, man. They're a peace of mind. You can't wait. I will order anything that's on television. Put it on television, especially after 12 o'clock at night. I'm going to order it. I got to have it. I got to see how it works. I want it. You're the same way.
Y'all, I'm telling y'all, I'm not lying. Y'all, we were on Tom Joyner cruise. And I opened up
we would swap gadgets. You got this and I got this.
I opened up my gear bag. I swear J. Anthony Brown thought the tree of life was in it. He was like, woo! He got excited.
I don't know what it is now. I've always been that way. What about yourself? Have you always been that way or what?
Yeah, but now, see, and the difference is we now got money. So, see, before we would just stare at gadgets. See, now we can actually buy gadgets.
Now I can buy gadgets. And I don't mind buying gadgets that when you get it, sometimes it don't work. You take a chance with a gadget. Sometimes it ain't going to work the way it works on television. You know, like, this is a piece of crap. Okay, you bought it. That's what it is. So you have to take that chance with a gadget. Or it looks big on television, and when you get it, it ain't that big. And, you know what I mean? That's part of buying a gadget. That's part of it. That's the way it works.
Well, and see, the advantage that I have is that I can buy gadgets, and it's all a tax write-off.
That's what I've been doing, too. Thank you very much. If it don't work, I'm writing it off. Let me tell you the latest gadget I bought.
Uh-oh.
The latest gadget I bought. They have a box. This is a box. This is a box that you buy. Say you're going to give somebody a gift. You want to give them a computer. Well, you take this box, and the box says it's a fart plug. And so it looks like they got a gift for fart plugs. The real gift is inside the box. So when they open it up, you get to watch their expression of you giving them a ready-ass gift. You know what I mean? That's the gift. That's the new gadget I got. But it's all on my show on YouTube. I Got a Gadget.
So
thank you, man, for sending in the tape. Thank you.
Do you literally look for, like, do you just, I bet, you remember the old Sky Mall magazine used to be on the airplane?
Yes.
I know they knew you personally.
That, along with that, and like I said, anything that comes on television after 12 o'clock at night, I got to have it. I got all the pots. I got 15 ways you can slice a potato if you come to my house, man. I got all of that. I got all of that. I got the water hose that winds up by itself. I got the scarves. I got the ice tray. I got all of it. I got it all. I got it. Yes.
I mean, I'm telling y'all, J. Anthony Brown, y'all really think I'm lying. J. Anthony Brown could probably open the Gadget Museum.
You know what? They used to have a store in some of the malls called As Seen on Television. I got all of that stuff. I got all of it. They put it out there. I gotta have it.
I bet you had stock in the Sharper Image.
Remember Sharper Image? Oh my God, that was the store. And here's the weird part, Roland. Before I had money, I could just go in there and touch stuff. I couldn't buy it. I would go in there and touch it and play around with it. And now that I finally got some money, the place went out of business.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Right. Sharper Image no longer exists. No longer exists.
Yes.
All right. So
you do. Go ahead.
So the other day, man, I'm going through my archives. I'm looking for some video and photos of John Lewis and C.T. Vivian, and I come across some audio files. And why did I come across, I don't know why I even have it, an audio file of Reverend Adenoids.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. These are today's church announcements. It's not nice to start a morning without saying, good morning, everybody. The women who look like Al Green will meet in meeting room 5. Let me tell you where Reverend Adenoid came from.
Right, where'd that come from?
When we would do the Tom Joyner show, Sybil would just say, she would say it in that voice. She would say, good morning. She would just say that. And she would just say, like we said something funny, and she would say, like she said, Jay loves white women. Okay, yes, I do. And then she would go, good morning, everybody. But she said it in that Reverend Adenoid voice. And so I said, Sybil, can I take that voice and make a character with it? And she's like, yeah, go ahead and do what you want to do with it. So I took that voice where she was going, and she did it kind of like that, where it clicked off in my head. And that's how Reverend Adenoid was born, And that character, man, that was the character we did on Monday. And he did church announcements, not church complaints, what Tommy does on the Steve Harvey show.
Right.
He does church announcements. So yeah, that's where that character came from.
Did you save all of those? Did you?
I got a lot of them, and I have a book. I've published. I know not as many books as you have, but I have four books that I've published. The first book is the announcements of Reverend Adenoid. I also have the Shades of Brown by J. Anthony Brown. Shades of Brown by J. Anthony Brown. And check this out. It's the 50 Shades of Brown. It's just 50 Shades of Brown in the book. That's all that's in it. It's 50. It's 50. Roland, don't laugh. I'm serious. It's 50 Shades of Brown by J. Anthony Brown. So you have a lot of people don't know. They're not brown. It has different levels.
Yeah, it does.
And it has 50 Shades of Brown by J. Anthony Brown. And I also have another book that I'm producing right now because I consider myself an artist. I have an art book coming out of all the hats that I drew. When I was doing the Tom Joyner show, I would doodle all the time. I just would draw. It looked like I would draw the same character. So the first book that comes out probably in the next 6 months is all these characters that I drew of just these characters in hats. It's about 100 of those. And then I produced, and I went to Comic-Con twice. For those of you who don't know what Comic-Con is a big convention that they have every year for people who are involved in the comic book area or superhero area. So I produced a character called Bitter Man. Bitter Man is a real superhero character who's totally against marriage. So I have a book I'm going to send you my stuff so next time I come on the show, you can hold it up and show everybody what I said. So I have those 4 books, and the art book will be the next book that I publish.
Now, let me explain something to y'all. Now, Jay, I told y'all Jay got gadgets. The only thing that comes second to Jay's gadgets is the amount of shit he sells. Do y'all understand? Jay is sold suits, hats, socks, hot sauce. Jay has art. I had some damn cufflinks of some J. Anthony Brown art. Y'all done heard his books. He got a comedy club. I mean,
well, the rule of law is, Roland, you know this, is you should try to produce 7 streams of income.
Oh yes.
You should not just.
My minimum is 5. My minimum is 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all you can probably keep up with. Sometimes you get, but you need to focus on at least 5 to 7 streams of income, so that when you grow older, you're not just depending on the money that you work with. You can sit back and you got maybe 400 coming here, or 200 coming here, or 300 coming here. That's what to me it's all about. So that's why I'm always constantly dabbling in different things. But the hot sauce is doing really, really well. It's on hotterthanamofo.com. Why are you laughing, Roland? Why are you laughing?
Because the name is funny, Hotter Than a Mofo.
Now, the mofo stands for Mother's Food. What do you think it stands for?
Yeah, okay, all right, okay. Yeah, okay.
Mofo stands for Mother's Food. It stands for Hotter Than a Mofo. I have habanero, peach and pepper, cayenne, garlic, and Hotter Than a Mofo, which is very hot. And then, Roland, I have nuts. So what I need you to do is try my nuts. Hello? Are you there? Roland?
I ain't trying your damn nuts. I ain't trying your damn nuts.
Oh, you gonna be like that? You don't eat planters nuts.
I don't eat planters. I can't stand walnuts. I can't stand cashews. I can't stand almonds. I just train my brain to like pecans, damn it.
I got pecans, yeah. But pecans come up under nuts. I mean, come on, don't be like that, Roland.
Yeah.
Don't be like that.
No, I will be like that. I will be like that. First of all, I'm gonna go back to the Reverend Adnoise. You talking about a book? That gotta be an audio book.
Yes, I'm gonna make it an audio book. That would be cool. Thank you for giving me that.
Yeah, now you got a new damn thing. Yeah, I'm telling you that, because I'm telling you, it was hilarious. Because the beauty of it, they're evergreen, so it ain't like,
It's right. It's right. It's definitely right.
I'm telling you. Look, I would buy it. No, actually, you had to send it to me for free. But no,
for free.
But I'm telling you, I was sitting there and I was like, damn, I need to go find some more, because it was just too funny. It was absolutely too funny. All right, when did the whole singing thing with the what you call it, destroying a hit?
Murder the Hits.
Murder the Hits. Where did that come from?
Okay. Let's see. Yolanda Starks, who was Tom Joyner's producer. I was performing at this club called Marriage Flat in Los Angeles. I was performing at the club Marriage Flat. And so at that particular time, Tom had all the people on his show who had a quote unquote, real good set on Def Jam. Anybody who just kind of stood out, that would be Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, Adele Gibbons, some more, Ricky Harris, all the people who set just kind of stood out. And mine was one of them, because that's where I did the Watch Out There Now. So they contacted me to be on Tom Joyner's show. I did the show, just talking about comedy, yada, yada, kind of like we're doing right now. And then when I went off the air, I told Tom, I said, hey, man, I'd like to come on your show. And my dumb ass said, I'll be on there for free. That's what I said. But listen, here's my analogy about that. Behind that, free gets you in the door. It really does, and a lot of people don't understand that. You kind of approach somebody sometimes and say, "How can I help you to get your foot in the door? You want to be a barber? Offer to clean up the barbershop for free. You want to be a hairstylist? Offer to clean up the hairstyle for free, or run errands for free. That gets you in the door." So free got me in the door. So I said, well, I want to be on every week. He said, well, I need another segment for Friday. What can you come up with? Come up with something that we can do every Friday. And at that time, I was working on KJLH, which is Stevie Wonder's station with Rico Reed, just on Fridays, a couple days a week. And we had this segment called J. Anthony Brown Murders the Hits. And I said, well, I can do these song parodies for you. And I said it again, Roland. I can give you a different one for free every week. I come with a different song every week for free. That's how I got on the show, and that's what Murder's a Hit. And since we've done them, I'm talking about 20 years, Roland. I must have 700 hits.
Wow.
More than that. Yeah, I think I recorded more songs than some of these average singers. I think
Hey, I'm telling you, it's all a part of, it's about being able to do different things. I got a couple more questions for you. I had done this, I did the Ebony Magazine comedy issue, and I asked you and a bunch of other people, who was the funniest non-comedian you knew? I forgot. I think, was it a Taylor or somebody you like? You said tell everybody who this cat was.
The funniest, there's several. The funniest non-comedic person in my life was my Aunt Emily, who was very quiet until she started to drink. And when she started to drink, you got a completely different show. And you could tell she was drunk because Roland, her tongue got heavy. And she would deny being drunk. She was my favorite aunt. She turned me on to cigarettes and beer and stuff like that. And you she drunk. And she said, Aunt Emily, you drunk? Her tongue would be like it was lead. Like she couldn't talk. But what was so funny about it, she would curse out my grandmother because my grandmother was a matriarch of the family. And so everybody was afraid of her because she was the matriarch. But when my Aunt Emily got drunk, she lit up my grandmama's ass. I mean, she went in hard. She was like, if I did it, mama, man, damn it, mama, if I did. You couldn't laugh, but she was one of the funniest people I know. My second funniest was probably another one. It's three. Another one was Kay Patterson, who was a history teacher, who really got me hip to Langston Hughes and poetry and stuff like that. But the absolute funniest was a guy that I worked for as a tailor. His name was Henry Taylor. His last name was Taylor. He owned a tailor shop, and he had the most successful business in Atlanta. But check this out, Roland. He hated customers. Roland, when I tell you the man, customers, because his thinking was customers are in the way of what I'm doing right now. And it was like a customer would come in and he'd go, damn. I mean, he would just go off like, damn, I ain't gonna finish this. He didn't make the connection. That was his way of life, was the customers. And he would say anything to them and hoping that they wouldn't come back. Because he had so much business. I mean, I worked for him for about maybe 3 or 4 years, but I remember some of the things he said to a customer. There was a large lady that came in that was getting a pair of pants fit, and he literally said, you need to keep your big ass still so I can mark these pants. Didn't care. He would mess up a product, like he would clean clothes, like he shrunk a guy's suede jacket, and his argument was, you shouldn't have brought it to me. He said that to the customer. He was like, you shouldn't have brought it to me. But the classic was what he said to me. I had been working for him for about almost 2 years, Roland. And we never had a day off, meaning we worked 6 days a week. And I said, hey, man, I've been here quite a while. I wonder if I could have a day off. And he said, without missing a beat, he said, a day off? He said, nigga, when you came in here, you had them all off. I mean, I went back to my sewing machine and sat down, Roland. So Henry, Kay Patterson, and my aunt, probably the funniest people who were not comedians I know.
You had them all off. You had them all off. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So now the last thing we gotta clarify something for people. All these people. There are a lot of people. They will come up to me, man. I wish Tom and Jay would leave you alone about your ascots. I was in Nova Scotia, Canada, speaking at a business conference, and I put on the blue suit, the red tie. I walked down. The first question, yo, what ascot? And so I would explain to people, I said, y'all don't understand. Tom and Jay be talking that trash on the air, but Jay has sent me several photos of his ass wearing an ascot. I said, y'all ain't never seen him post it. I said, so y'all need to understand that's a bit. I said, but both, I said, they asses, I said, Jay wore ascot several times.
But here's the thing that people don't know about an ascot. Once you put on an ascot, it elevates your education right away. People assume you know more than you really know. So I've always taken to heart that if your ass is real dumb, put on an ascot. Now you got to keep your mouth shut, but when people see you, they will think you very smart. But put on an ascot, and people will think you're very smart. Now, the thing with you, Roland, you are very smart. So we have given you so much trash about the ascot. I'm going to let it go because it's you. Here's the one thing I didn't really pick up, and you tried it, bless your heart, you tried to make it catch on, and it just didn't. The feather pocket squares, it just didn't catch on.
No, here's the deal, though. Actually, here's the deal. It didn't catch on other people because I wasn't worried about other people, but actually it did catch on because my sister actually makes those and gets orders every month.
Okay.
So here's I'm gonna tell you what happened. First of all, the feather pocket square was a battle between me and Steve Harvey. We would have these pocket square battles at Essence every year. And then one year I said, I got something for your ass. And I remember taking a photo and I had all the ascots and the linen suits laid out and the feather pocket squares. Man, when I got to New Orleans, he was like, Steve thought I'd actually stuffed some feathers in my pocket. I was like, no, Steve, they were actually made. The pocket squares were made. But the thing that was a trip, all these folks were like, man, feather pocket squares, but Jay, the women loved it.
They loved it.
Bro, I'm at the White House.
Okay.
Christmas party. We in line. I got an ascot on. A fuchsia ascot. I got the pocket square. Obama, they call your name, Mr. and Mrs. Roland Martin. Obama goes, Roland, really? First the ascot, now the feather pocket square? He goes, really? Feathers? Now, mind you, Jay, while he talking, Michelle Obama is over here playing with the feather pocket square.
There you go.
And I turn to him, and I go, hold up, I turn to him and I go, see, this ain't for you. He was like, man, come on, take this photo. So that's the deal. Women love the feather pocket square.
It's a winner. It's a winner. Now, my last question to you. Are you using chicken feathers, or do you not ever use chicken feathers?
No, chicken feathers are not being used. No.
Well, you have in as much chicken as we eat, Roland. you're really being disrespectful. I mean, this is just my opinion. You're really being disrespectful of not using chicken feathers.
Well, I will let my sister know, and I'll keep that in mind.
Okay,
I'll keep that in mind. Jay Anthony Brown, always a pleasure. Yo, man, you got a Cash App or anything?
I got my hot sauce. Go to hotternthemofo.com to check out my hot sauce. Please order some, and please check out our online show hosted by my good friend, Mr. Ross Allen. It's called I Got a Gadget. Send us a gadget that you have. If we use it, we'll send you a T-shirt. Now, the sizes are only medium, large, extra large, and 3X. If your ass is bigger than that, give it to a friend, okay?
Give it to a friend or lose some damn weight.
There you go. Thank you, man.
Jay Anthony, I appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Hey.
Yeah.
Come back sometimes.
Yeah, Jay.
I really want to talk politics. That's what
All right. Well, just don't wait 3 damn months.
All right.
The election is less than 100 days.
All right. Okay. All right.
All right, we'll do it. All right, Jay, appreciate it. All right, y'all. See, this is why y'all got to support Roland Martin Unfiltered. You never know what in the heck we going to have on this show, the kind of conversations we going to have. I hope y'all enjoyed that. That's why we do Wild Out Wednesday, an opportunity for us to be able to have a little fun with our guest, Jay Anthony Brown. That boy a fool, y'all. I'm telling you. We used to, I'm telling y'all, we used to get together. Straight full. All right, real quick here. I know we way over time. And so let me go ahead and read this here. These are the folks who have given us $50 or more. I told you, if you give $50 or more, you get a personal shout out from me on the show. And so here we go. Angela Scipio, Ashley, Assorted Chocolate Travel Club, Brianna Appling, Carol Williams, Cynthia Smith, Daryl Louder, Eric Johnson, Faraya Law Group, Fadois Brown, Freddie Sidbury, Georgette Greenlee, Gladys Smith, Godoy Colbert, Hyman, Karen, Kevin Kinney, Kevin George, Lateria May, Lavon Wiedemeyer, Linda Edwards, Lisa Phillips, Lyra's Temporary Office Services, Malcolm X. Matthews, Michael Collin, Michelle Mayberry, Rondell Gowdy, Shauna Reeder, Shanika Wilbert, Sneaker, Verse Kicks, Sonali Lloyd, Tara McDonald, Tawana, Theodore Marsh, Tanya Whitley, Tony Gardner, Wanda Williams. Thank y'all for supporting Roland Martin Unfiltered and joining our Bring the Funk fan club. Folks, real simple. You can join right here on YouTube, right there. You can also go to our Cash App, $RM Unfiltered, PayPal, paypal.me/R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo.com/RM Unfiltered. You can also send a cashier's check money order to New Vision Media, NU Vision Media Inc., 1625 K Street Northwest, Suite 400, Washington, D.C., 2006. Don't forget, tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, we'll be live streaming the funeral of Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I will see you then. Nothing but love for Hank Aaron, one of our pioneers and one of our great elders. Got to go. Ho!